Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report Podcast, brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks. Make sure you download the PrizePicks app with the link in our YouTube description. That'll take you to the PrizePicks app, where if you're a new user, you can sign up with the code HMA. That's letters HMA. And when you do, take advantage of this awesome deal that PrizePicks have, where if you set up your first $5 lineup, if you win with that lineup, you'll win $150 in bonus lineups as well. So play $5 and get $150 if you win with your first lineup over at PrizePicks. It's super fun to use. It's America's #1 app for daily fantasy sports. It's the best place to win cash while watching sports as well. So I love using PrizePicks, and we'll talk about PrizePicks a little bit later on the show as well, because we got a lot to break down in this second edition of the Bucs and Jets joint training camp practice. A lot more firepower today for Tampa Bay as they crush the Jets in one important, certain moment of practice. But we'll break that all down on today's show. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is the face that runs the place at PewterReport.com. That is SR Scott Reynolds. And Scott, I think the Bucs, when you go to these joint practices, you obviously want to win the days, but you want to learn more about your team. You want to feel like you got some good productivity. And I think the Bucs accomplished that with these two practices yesterday and today on Wednesday.
Certainly sounds like it. And from all accounts, including yours, because you were there in New Jersey for those practices, the run defense is as good as advertised, right? I mean, we saw the Buccaneers running game today kind of take off. It had some success yesterday, but we saw a really big touchdown run from Kenneth Gainwell, and then a nice run by Bucky Irving for 10 yards. This one was, a 40-yard touchdown run, Matt?
Yeah, I was having some conversations about how far it was. I kind of gauged it at around 40 yards from where vantage point is, because they were just over midfield, I from what I gathered. But it was a huge run nonetheless by Kenny Gainwell, where we've usually talked about Gainwell, we're talking about him in the pony package and lining up outside at receiver and what he's doing in the passing game. So for him to spring a big run with the ground game for Tampa Bay was a really great sight to see. You mentioned Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker with a 10-yard touchdown run as well. So the Bucs didn't run it a ton today, but when they did, they were very, very effective, which is a beautiful, beautiful sign for this offense overall, for Zach Robinson, for Baker Mayfield, and really everybody on the offense.
Let's talk about the offense a little bit, because Baker Mayfield really kind of outdueled his counterpart Geno Smith over these last couple of practices, and really executed the 2-minute drill just about flawlessly. I mean, there's a little bit of a shaky first pass, but after that, Baker was locked in. And just take us through. Let's kind of start at the end of this practice, because this was really where the Buccaneers asserted their dominance, both on offense and defense. Tell us about Baker Mayfield and what happened on that 2-minute touchdown drive.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was great by the Bucs offense and their defense as well. We'll start with breaking down all the offense. We'll get to the defense as well. But, it's so funny, right? When you're watching a movie or a TV show, sometimes all that matters is the ending, right? If you don't stick the landing with the end, people leave with a poor taste in their mouth. You have a great story along the way, but you got to stick the landing. And that's exactly what the Bucs did today with these 2-minute drills that they ran on offense and on defense. So the way that it worked out is the Bucs offense got the football first. There was 1 minute and 6 seconds left on the clock. So when we say 2-minute drill, it was really more like a 1-minute drill.
Yeah.
And as we've learned with Baker Mayfield, no timeouts either. As we've learned with Baker Mayfield, an angry Baker Mayfield is a great Baker Mayfield. And that's what happened with this drive. It was about, I want to say, a 70-yard drive or so. Like, you had to move it down the field for sure. And Baker's first throw almost nearly intercepted. Just a good athletic play by the Jets corner. But it goes an incomplete pass. As soon as the ball hit the ground, I look over, and Baker Mayfield and David Bailey, who's been a thorn in the side of the Bucs these last 2 days, getting in fights with everyone, They are jawing at each other, saying a lot of stuff. It's a very heated and animated conversation. What I gathered from it and talking with a couple of people was that Baker didn't like that David Bailey kind of got up in his grill too much. I think he even bumped him a little bit. And as we know, you can't touch the quarterback. Did David Bailey light a fire under Baker Reagan Mayfield because he lit up the New York Jets and really just lit it up as a quarterback that wants to get paid $50+ million. Because my goodness, what he was doing next was sensational. Bam! Across the middle to Dennis Houston, who had to step up with the Emeka Egbuka leaving the game or leaving practice a little bit earlier. We will talk about that as well. Bam! Dennis Houston. Bam! Across the middle to Chris Godwin Jr. Again, these short to intermediate throws that Baker has almost perfected at this point in training camp, especially over the last 2 days. Then it became the Ted Hurst show, who again is getting more opportunities with Jalen McMillan only doing individual drills and Emeka Egbuka exiting practice today. Short to intermediate pass to Ted Hurst, moving further down the field. Then it was a big play to Ted Hurst down the left sideline, which was Ted Hurst's best friend today because Hurst earlier in practice made a great toe tap sideline catch. The ref said it was inbounds, so I'll take the ref's word for it. This one, Ted Hurst makes the catch about 10 to 15 yards. It's tough to gauge from where we were, but definitely first down. Put the Bucs at 1st and goal, and he got out of bounds, so it stopped the clock. So put the Bucs at 1st and goal at the 6-yard line. And I'm thinking, all right, not a bad day for Ted Hurst. And then they say, hey, Ted Hurst, we're going to make you the next Mike Evans. We're going to throw a fade to the corner of the end zone.
And that's exactly what happened on Sunday. They executed that perfectly, but not today.
They went right back to it. Not the best thrown ball from Baker right there. But again, the cornerback didn't turn his head. They called pass interference on the Jets. So a great job by Ted Hurst. Great job having awesome size, but a great job being athletic, making a play after the football. Put the Bucs on the goal line. And this is where it got really interesting because remember, it's a 2-minute drill.
Yeah.
Bucs don't have a timeout.
Right.
Almost reminiscent. Now, the Bucs did have a timeout in this situation, but remember the Texans game? They ran it with Rachaad White to win the game.
That's right.
They tried running it with Kenny Gainwell, got stuffed. So the Bucs had to frantically and quickly line up, make sure everyone is on side and everything. They were able to do that in a proper amount of time. There's about 4 seconds left, I want to say, when the ball was snapped. And Baker found Cade Otton, just a tight little window in the area for Cade Otton. And bam, touchdown, Tampa Bay. Bucs score on offense. It was a job well done by Baker Mayfield. Spreading the ball around as well. Godwin, Houston, Ted Hurst coming up big. And then Cade Otton, who had 2 touchdowns on the day as well. Yeah. Really just all around well done. Justin School held up as well on the O-line. And, hey, Jets with David Bailey, like they can bring some pressure on the D-line. But really once Baker got fired up, they kept the Jets at bay.
The thing is Cade Otton, no surprise, right? He got a $10 million per year contract extension, right? And he does have some clutch DNA. I know we give Cade Otton a hard time because he elects not to wear gloves. Going with the old school approach. Hopefully he doesn't have the ball stripped away by little defensive backs again this year. Yeah. But you know, he's really shown up in camp. I think he's one of those guys that had a really quiet start to camp. Then you saw it Friday's practice, Sunday's practice, and then Tuesday and Wednesday really made his presence felt against the Jets. And the arrow's pointing up for him. He's one of those guys that probably can be under targeted for the first 3 games of the year. No worries, no problem. Then he can just erupt for like 5 catches for 80 yards in the 4th game, just because he's that steady Eddie that, you know, what you see is what you get with him. He's not going to have some terribly dynamic plays, but he has a nose for the end zone. He's good in the red zone, especially the lower red, as we saw today. And he can get 15-yard chunks. He can be a chain mover at tight end, right? His career average is about 9.9 yards. He's not George Kittle by any stretch of the imagination, but he is a safety blanket. He is a guy that Baker has a lot of trust with. And in this short rhythmic passing game, he knows how to get open in short area spaces.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I still think about the touchdown he scored against the Saints. This was Baker's first year, and he got absolutely smoked on the play, but was able to score the touchdown. At the time, it was a really pivotal moment. Of course, Cade Otton scored the game-winning touchdown against the Saints in Tom Brady's last year. So he's had some big moments for this team. You know, the loss to Kansas City, Cade Otton was big in that game.
That's
and then I even look at like last season, Cade Otton has a good ability to raise his game when other important players are out. And I think Seattle is a big moment. And of course, he played for the University of Washington, so it was a home game for him. And yes, that game will be remembered because Baker was on fire and Emeka Egbuka was incredible. There's no doubt about that. But let's remember, like, going into that game, there was no Mike Evans. And, you know, Chris Godwin was able to play, but, you know, really got banged up and got banged up in that game. So it was Cade Otton who was really having some moments for the team outside of Emeka Egbuka going crazy and a couple of rushing touchdowns by Rachaad White. Like even Sterling Shepard, yes, he scored a touchdown, but that was really his only, you know, impact in the game, where Cade Otton, it was more consistent throughout. And that's just what he's going to be with this team. He's going to do the dirty work. He's going to block, help out the offensive tackles. And if there's a moment like there was today with the Bucs where you don't have Egbuka, you don't have McMillan, who else is going to step up besides, I mean, are you really going to rely on Ted Hurst this early to be like, hey, 4th round rookie, come and be Superman? Now, he was a little bit today, but you have a guy that you can trust and for the most part rely on with Cade Otton. And I think today was really another example of it.
Yeah, today was another example of Ruben Bain doing Ruben Bain things. Yesterday it was just being a menace in the run game, a couple tackles for loss, setting the edge. He did that so well. But, you know, you don't draft run stuffing, edge setting, defensive end type players with the 15th overall pick. You get guys that can get to the quarterback, and he did that today, Matt.
Oh, my goodness. This one move that he had, and when I'm saying Ruben Bain had a move, it wasn't against the Jets' 3rd or 4th string offensive tackle. This is one-on-one with Olu Fashanu, a 1st-round pick for the Jets, an offensive tackle. And, you know, there's many bad and critical things you could say about the Jets. They have beefed up their offensive line. You know, they got Fashanu on one side, Membu on the other side. Like, they have built out their tackles very similarly to how the Bucs have built out their offensive tackles with Wirfs and Gedeke. But my goodness, this move by Ruben Bain Jr., and for those that have been at training camp or watched some of the highlights of Ruben Bain, either going back to Miami or some things that the Bucs have shown, he does this really interesting, like, little jump step a lot. It's like a little hop, and it helps sets up his next move. And he did this jump step into a swim move, maybe like even a little rip, but it was like the perfect combination of athleticism, power, but finesse as well, which is what Ruben Bain Jr. also brings. And in a blink of an eye, he went by the starting offensive tackle of the New York Jets in this one-on-one drill. Like legit, snap your finger, bam, he's in the backfield. And then you get to 11 on 11, and it doesn't stop with Ruben Bain Jr. He's just relentless. He'll bull rush you. He'll swim you. He'll cut inside. He'll move all the way into the interior in the middle of that line with a little bit of a stunt. And that's how he recorded one of his sacks during 11 on 11. And then, of course, why do you bring in edge rushers? Why do you draft an edge rusher in the 1st round? Is to come up big in crunch time.
That's right.
While it technically wasn't a sack, he drew a holding penalty on that last drive against the Jets, going right into the face of Geno Smith. Ruben Bain Jr. is showing he does it all. Because you know what? Yesterday, pass rush, okay by him. It was stopping the run yesterday. Today, it was the pass rush. It was having big moments. He was in the backfield all afternoon / morning long, really all morning long, because practice ended around 12. But, I mean, the consistent pass rush by the Bucs, to me, and there's a lot of things we can point out with the defense and with a lot of great moments today and yesterday. The consistent, relentless pass rush on that final drive. And understandably, you kind of know what's going to happen. You have a minute left. They're going to be throwing the football. If the Bucs can bring that 2 game days to the 4th quarter in games, because you know this was, and I get it, it's the Jets. It's not a good team. But how many games in crunch time at the end of the season did the Bucs lose last year. They were great early in the season. Yep. There's no doubt about it. Game-winning drives against Atlanta and the Texans and the Jets.
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
But late in the season, you could have closed it out against the Patriots on offense and defense. You didn't. You could have closed it out against the Atlanta Falcons. You didn't, and you embarrassed yourself in prime time.
And you know what, Matt? There were some times where the Bucs defense was not able to get off the field, and other teams closed games out. You think about that Detroit game with Jamar Gibbs going off with some big touchdowns, the Patriots game with those 2 Travion Henderson touchdowns in the last minute, at least by the accounts from you and others that were up there. The Bucs defensive line and their front seven was kind of like what it was here in Tampa. It was a brick wall. It was very hard for the Jets to run. You can see this picture here where it's just, who is that? Breece Hall, number 0?
That's Braylon Allen.
Braylon Allen, going nowhere, right? I mean, here's another instance there where
Bucs were great. And again, like for all the bad things about the Jets, they have a good put together offensive line. They should be able to run the football this year. The Bucs are getting back to the basics with the defensive side, and that's stop the run, set up 3rd and long, and go and hunt the quarterback. And if you want to blitz, go ahead. I didn't see a ton of blitzing by the Bucs today.
I heard Vita Vea had a pretty good day today.
Yeah,
in terms of getting the backfield.
Yeah, Kancey is always. We've said for a long time he's a guy that when he's in is consistently getting that push and putting the pocket back. And when the pocket is getting pushed back directly in your face, I mean, it just opens up everything else. So Kalijah Kancey, I heard his name a couple of times today, even from like Jets reporters being like, "Who's that guy? Who's that guy?" Kalijah Kancey. Oh yeah, so Kancey was certainly very solid today. And if Vita Vea can ever come back, I mean, I can't say I'm fully sold just yet because it's one thing when it's training camp, it's another when it's an actual regular season game itself. But I mean, with what David Walker is doing, he forced an offsides today or false start today by the Jets as well. But Walker's doing what Al-Quadin Muhammad, I believe, can do, like in that 3rd string role. And of course, what Reuben Bain Jr. is doing. I mean, this is a team that I think can get to the point where they are blitzing because they want to blitz, not because they feel like they have to blitz. And it's going to come in droves, whether it's Walker, Yaya has been I don't want to say he's the forgotten man, but Yaya
he's not been spectacular. He's been steady.
He's been his steady Eddie, type of self, which is fine because Yaya can certainly turn it on in, when the regular season arrives. But man, it's been a lot of fun seeing the culmination, and it's not even culminated fully yet, but seeing the come up from this edge rusher room, which was so barren last season, and now it almost feels like an embarrassment of riches.
Well, and you mentioned David Walker. And I know you only have one set of eyes, Matt, and there's a lot happening on the practice field. You're up there by yourself. Usually we're out in mass at Pewter Report where we've got multiple Pewter reporters there. But Bucs source tells me that David Walker's sack streak continues. He drew an offsides today. Actually, I should say a false start, and also got to the quarterback. So what is this now? 11? Are we up to 11? Yeah, 11 straight.
He's pretty much had one every day. So, it would be 11 straight for David Walker. Another thing I want to point out, too, defensively, because we talk about the pass rush, and this goes back to, like, winning in crunch time.
Right.
I think a big shout-out needs to go to Rashad Johnson. Because a big thing that I've noticed with the corners, and Todd Bowles had mentioned yesterday about, like, he's not happy with all the defensive holding penalties that there's been. But I think what we've learned thus far with the Bucs defense, and particularly the linebackers and the secondary corners and safeties, is they're going to put it in the hands of the refs to call you for defensive holding and throw the flags. Because Aiden Garnes had 2 really important pass breakups today. And the second one was against Garrett Wilson, who in my opinion is a top 10 wide receiver in this league. And it was a little handsy. Nothing was called, though. Refs were there. Nothing was called. And I think that's been one of the messages from Rashad Johnson has been be aggressive, get your hands on the receiver, and force the referee to make a call if there is going to be a call. And the aggressiveness by him, we didn't see that last year with the Bucs in these certain crunch time moments. And just being able to stay up in the grill of the wide receiver, I think is having that trickle down effect as well, where the quarterback's going to hold it for another second, and bam, David Walker and Reuben Bain are there to go and make plays. So I'm liking the physicality of the corners. And also with Aiden Garnes, like he got beat early on in practice, whether it was 7-on-7s or the early 11-on-11s. He got beat a couple times. He was going to be on the dud list at one point. And then the two big pass breakups at the end really turned around his day. So it was awesome to see him overcome that, tough start to really have a banger of a practice by the end of it.
Yeah, you and I were high on Rashad Johnson when they made that move, and Todd Bowles fired Kevin Ross and promoted Rashad Johnson. We saw his handiwork at the Senior Bowl because he was one of those position coaches that were kind of loaned by, the Senior Bowl's kind of comprised of a bunch of younger coaches, newer coaches, and they kind of formed together like these super staffs, if you will. It used to be, just two coaching staffs from bad teams. I remember back in 2005, the Buccaneers, when they went 4-12 under John Gruden, they were the Senior Bowl coaching staff one year. But now Rashad Johnson and Jeff Castle, the assistant tight ends coach, they were representing the Buccaneers. And we just love this guy's energy and his enthusiasm out there. And we've been high on him, Matt, you and I, about him being a possible difference maker in the secondary. And that's one thing I like is like, listen, nobody wants the PI penalty, especially when it's yardage, right? It's not like college where you can tackle somebody, it's a 15-yard penalty. If you tackle somebody, they're 40 yards down the field, it's a 40-yard penalty. But what we're not seeing is defensive backs getting beat deep. We're not seeing guys getting wide open. You'll see that jersey tug a little bit, and you'd rather have the penalty than the touchdown, right? Because then you live to fight another day. And so Rashad Johnson, former NFL defensive back, I think is really making a difference right there when it comes to the secondary. What's making a difference in your health is seminars, conferences, expos like Hack Your Health, one of our newest sponsors here at Pewter Report. That's right. The Hack Your Health Expo is coming to Tampa, November 13th and 15th at the Tampa Convention Center. You can take control of your health and live better by visiting the Hack Your Health Expo. And that's where you're going to find thousands of people willing to learn from dozens of leading professionals, such as physicians, researchers, practitioners, innovators, and educators. What makes this unique event is special is not just the fact that it's the caliber of the speakers, it's the people who attend. Whether you're just beginning your health journey or looking to optimize your performance and longevity, or maybe you're a healthcare professional seeking new perspectives, Hack Your Health brings together a community united by one belief: there's always another step forward. More than a conference, Hack Your Health is an immersive experience designed to inspire curiosity, meaningful conversations, and practical action. Throughout the weekend, attendees will have the opportunity to learn from trusted experts, engage with innovative brands, experience emerging health technologies firsthand, and connect with people who share a passion for living healthier, more vibrant lives. The great part about this is it happens during the Bucs bye week, so you don't have to miss a game. You can go to hackyourhealth.com for more information and to register. And if you use promo code PEWTER100, that's Pewter, Pewter, 100, at checkout, you'll save $100 off your weekend pass. Matt. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, we greatly appreciate the fact that we have some awesome Pewter people. We've grown our audience podcast just by leaps and bounds. And if you missed yesterday's show, we hit 24,000 subscribers to our Pewter Report TV YouTube channel. Many of you may not know this, but this started off as the Pewter Nation podcast many, many moons ago. And it was an audio podcast on SoundCloud back in the day. And we have to give a lot of thanks to Mark Cook.
Yes,
the
we
late,
do.
great Mark Cook, who passed away on August 12th back in 2021. And my life has never been the same since. Not only was he a fantastic Pewter reporter, he was literally my first friend in Florida when I moved here in 1995. I met Mark during my summer internship with Buccaneer Magazine back in the day in 1994. And we hit it off. And he was doing radio for a long time, sports radio station, 910 AM back in the day. There's WHNZ Wins, I think is what the station was called back then. And then he became a Pewter reporter, and we had a lot of adventures. There's us over in London for the Bucs Panthers game, and he was a huge instrumental part. This is myself, and there's the man bun.
Oh, man.
Trevor Sycamore and Mark Cook doing the audio version of the Pewter Nation podcast, which became the Pewter Report podcast, which later became the Pewter Report podcast. And there's all of us. There's you, Matt, and Grizz, Taylor Jenkins. That was when we're still doing the audio podcast. It was at One Buccaneer Place, I think. And there's Trevor, and just had great memories. He was a visionary. He said, hey, what we're doing is great with the magazine. What we're doing is great with the website, but, we got to reach Bucs fans in different places. And we started to do audio, and then YouTube came about, and we started to do video podcasts, and we had some hijinks too.
Oh yeah.
I remember when you guys came over to my house one time, we're still doing the audio at the time. Mark Cook actually cut his hand. Look away for squeamish. He cut his hand with a knife, and I remember giving him the knife. I'm like, Mark, don't cut yourself. And like a little kid, he cut himself. He was cutting open a new microphone cord, and he just sliced his hand wide open. Probably, he actually, I think, got some stitches. But I'm like, oh, holy shit, dude, you need to go to the hospital. And he said, no, we're doing the podcast. And I said, okay. And so we wrapped it up, and he did the podcast like a trooper, and then sought medical attention after the job was done, which you always have to love about Mark. He was a huge Florida State fan. This is him with Gene Deckerhoff, voice of the Seminoles and voice of the Buccaneers.
A rare smile from Mark.
I know.
He's not much of a smile guy.
You're exactly right. But when he was around people like Rondé Barber, and see that, there you go. He's not even smiling. He's got Rondé Barber there. That's the ginger badass that we know right there. But he had a wicked sense of humor. He would. There he was doing the Bucko Bruce imitation of the Bucko Bruce on his shirt, and he actually wore that on a video podcast with Bruce Arians, which was amazing. Had the Kegel and the knife and all of that. Bruce got a kick out of that. And of course, he and Mike Evans had a special relationship. He did What's Cooking for us, which was a fantastic comedic bit, and just missed that guy just terribly. He brought so much life to Pewter Report.
Yeah.
The humor was off the chain. He had some legendary rants. He had a temper too. Now he was a ginger badass. And if you're a longtime Pewter Report podcast listener, you'll understand all of these things. The Chuck Berry story. That was a little skit that we did. The Def Leppard cutoff T-shirt. Jude I.J. Barima, who
my goodness.
And, of course, the flare gun from T.A. Mahoney's. And then Mark Cook, his mugshot, because he got arrested. For what? What did he get arrested for, Matt?
I think it was fishing without a license.
Yes, it was fishing without a license. Mark Johann Cook, convicted felon. No, I'm kidding. He was just a misdemeanor arrest. But did
he just forget to pay the ticket or something?
Yes. Yeah. He forgot to he got cited for fishing without a license and forgot to pay it. They got arrested. But I'm not going to get into all of that stuff. It happened during COVID, and it pisses me off to this day. Some of the stuff that's coming out now. But 50 years old. 50 years old, left his son, Douglas. I think about Mark Cook every single day. And, my parents died over the last couple of years, and I love my parents dearly. My mom was, was she 76 maybe? My dad was 80. They lived a long life. Mark Cook was taken too soon from us. He was taken too soon.
Yeah.
And, he would have thrived even more. He did some video podcasts for years, but his last game was the Super Bowl.
It was.
His last game was the Super Bowl. We got 3 Super Bowl credentials. And I remember we got 2 press box credentials. This is during COVID. So this is 2020. I had to wear the stupid fucking masks and all that bullshit. And, we were up in the press box about 6 feet apart and all this stuff. And I remember calling him up and I said, Mark, we got 3 press box credentials for me, you, and John. John Ledyard was with us at the time. And I said, you're welcome to sit with me in the press box. I'm going to be in the press box, but the other seat is in the stadium. The other seat is in the auxiliary press box. And sometimes when you get credentialed for games, and the first 2 Super Bowls I went to, not the Buccaneers Super Bowls, but other Super Bowls, I sat out in the stands. They give you a ticket and you sit out there, and it's the auxiliary press box. You're just in the stands watching. So I said, you're welcome to sit with me, Mark, but if you want to sit in the stands and experience it as a fan, after all, this was your childhood team. You grew up as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan. I said, you think about it, let me know. He called me back 5 minutes later. He's like, if it's okay with you, maybe I'll have you and John up in the press box and I'll sit out in the stands. That was his last Buccaneer game.
Man.
Super Bowl right here in Tampa.
Yeah.
And, think about that guy every day. Think about him literally every day. He was special, unique, and really helped get this podcast to where it was. So I thought about him yesterday. We had 24,000. I'm like,
yeah,
way to go, way to go.
Miss Mark a lot. For those that don't know, he was the reason I got to Pewter Report.
That's right.
Was super helpful and influential with my work here at Pewter Report. And he's a legend for sure. And the impact that he had on so many people, whether at Pewter Report or just fans of the Bucs, first of all, he's a brilliant storyteller.
Yes.
A brilliant storyteller. Yes. And I would implore everybody. He did a segment on Pewter Report. It was called The Hook. And a lot of it was old storytelling, and he still has one. He talks about the first time he covered a road game for the Bucs, or his first time going to Lambeau Field, and it was the early Bucs with Dungy and Sapp and Brooks. And I felt like I was in the parking lot at Lambeau, and then in the stands at Lambeau, and then on the bus where the media was with the players. And he's a brilliant storyteller, and he just has this fascinating appeal with, and as you mentioned, like a little bit of humor, a little bit of wit, and like he's not the biggest X's and O's guys, and he can talk X's and O's, but his way of getting his point across and making things make sense with talking about the team, he just did it in such a fascinating way that was able to draw everybody in.
Yeah,
he connected well with everyone, especially the players. I would have loved to see a relationship that Mark could have had with Baker Mayfield.
Oh my God.
I think they're cut from the same cloth.
Oh my God,
sure.
Yes.
So it was.
Yeah, he would have loved Baker Mayfield.
It was such a tragic loss. I owe so much to him. I miss him a ton. I always think about funny moments that we've had at Pewter Report, like even just the simple things, like instead of saying Trevor Sikkema, he'd say Trevor Sikkahema, and just little things like that. Captain Interruption.
Captain Interruption. Yeah, he called him the man bun. He always used to call him the man bun.
Yeah, and like so many people love and adore Mark as we do as well. And man, time flies. It's crazy. It's been 5 years now.
I'll say this too, as it pertains to you, Matt, because I always put Mark in charge of the interns, and now you're in charge of the interns. But he loved you, and for you to elevate to the position you are, where you're hosting the podcast, and which was kind of like his baby, and he took you from University of Tampa, and all of that. He just would be absolutely thrilled and proud of you in your journey covering the Buccaneers. And I just know that he is absolutely smiling down from heaven at you, man. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate that a ton. So rest in peace, Mark Cook. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why the Good Guy Award is named after him, which goes
That's right.
That's
right.
The Bucs player that is most
the Mark Cook Good Guy Award. That's for sure.
Yes, yeah. Yep. So props to Greg Allman as well, because he's the one that came up with the idea for it. So
absolutely, we have some great guys here and great gals with some super chats here. Let's get to a couple of these, and we'll. Your prize picks really interested me yesterday, and I can't wait to see what you have on tap today. But let's get a couple of these super chats taken care of here.
Fittingly, we're gonna start with someone named Mark, of course. Mark Fisher. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Who says on Friday, what learning edges do we look for with cornerbacks Garnes, Pepe, and Scott as they battle to start or to make the practice squad? Been mostly praised so far.
Yeah. I think what you're going to look for with these guys is just cool under fire, right? If they give up a pass or they give up a play, do they just shake it off and make a play? Kind of like what you were saying today with Aiden Garnes.
Yeah.
Gave up a big play early, and then the best was yet to come at the end of practice. Had the 2 pass breakups, one essentially to kind of end the Jets drive on that 2-minute drill. That I think is what you're looking for. The bright lights, the huge crowd.
Yeah.
And, and to kind of like lock into the moment. This is their, for Scott and for Garnes, this is their first NFL game. Pepe's been in the league for a minute. But I think it's stay in the moment. Don't let the moment overwhelm you. And then, make a play if you can. And I remember just teaching my cornerbacks back in the day and Pop Warner, and I would tell these little kids, and it hasn't changed. That's what I love about this Pop Warner, high school, college, or pro. It's still the same game. The first thing you tell the defensive back is your job is to do not allow the receiver to catch the ball. And if he does make the tackle, that's the first thing. Second thing is, if you can, get a hand on the ball, like literally knock it down if you can. Third is come up with the interception if you can, right? But good coverage, make the quarterback go somewhere else with the ball. If you can do that, that's great. Number 2, if the ball's coming your way, knock it down. Number 3, pick it off if you can. And so if these guys kind of adhere to those principles, right? Sticky coverage, make the quarterback go somewhere else. Or if the ball's coming your way, make sure he doesn't catch it, knock it down. Or if you can, hey, get that ball, go get it.
And it's going to be a big learning curve / test, because from what I've seen from some Jets reporters, sounds like the starters are going to play for the Jets. That's just how Aaron Glenn wants to roll. So you're going to see Geno Smith. You're going to see probably not as much Garrett Wilson, but you're going to see some starters for the Jets. So it's going to be a huge test for Pepe Williams and Aiden Garnes. And I think that's great.
I do too.
Let them see how they can take what they've done in training camp into the games themselves. So
because you're right, man. Because if Pepe makes the team, or if Scott is going to make it, right, but if Aiden Garnes makes the team, and they have to play, they're going to go up against guys like Garrett Wilson. So you might as well get some reps now to prove that you can play against them.
Yeah, and this kind of goes well with this next super chat from Jacob. Thank you for the $4.99. Says, is there space for Garnes and Pepe on the 53-man roster? Is Josh Hayes' special teams ability enough to save him? It's interesting, right? Because before training camp started, we kind of said, all right, Josh Hayes is going to be the next man up after, the top 3. I'm not going to say the big 3, but the top 3 with Jacob Parrish, Zion McCollum, and Benjamin Morrison. And as we've seen thus far in camp, both Pepe Williams and Aiden Garnes have well surpassed Josh Hayes. Now, really it comes down to, what is Benjamin Morrison's availability going to be when you're coming up with this 53-man roster? Because he put on equipment today. He had a helmet and shoulder pads on. He did the calisthenics, the running, the training, some individual drills, but there was nothing for 11 on 11. He wasn't out there. So they are kind of starting from square one again with Benjamin Morrison. They are taking, I'm not calling him a baby, but they are taking the babiest of baby steps.
They are.
With him to get ready and get acclimated. So at this point, you're damn right they're going to have to keep Pepe Williams and Aiden Garnes, because one of them is going to be CB3 with Benjamin Morrison presumably still on the shelf for quite a while.
I agree. And the NFL is such a what have you done for me lately league that, and I know he played in 10 games last year with 3 starts, and he did play in the last couple games of the season. I don't know that that's enough to make me feel like he could just step in right away week one and play.
Yeah, it's not like he had 5 picks last year. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is like the second training camp where he has essentially not played. This would be the 4th preseason game out of 4 that he has not played in. And unless he comes back in action on Monday of next week, he's not going to play on Saturday against the Chiefs either. So
yeah,
it's a slow train. That's for sure.
It's the molasses train is what it is.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about the offense here. Thanks to O2RR for the $1.99 super chat. Says, any update on Wirfs? Need full offensive line by September 13th, which of course is the opener against the Cincinnati Bengals on the road. So Wirfs yesterday was running on his own a little bit, just in shorts and a t-shirt, doing some stretching and stuff too. Was not doing that today. But I'm with you, O2RR. As long as he's ready by September 13th, I think they'll be fine. Justin School, I think, performed admirably today at left tackle. It was another struggle bus for Ben Chikuma. I just have to – I don't want to be a broken record, but he just keeps getting mollywopped by Will McDonald and David Bailey, but McDonald more today as well. I'm not hitting the panic button by any means with Ben Chikuma. Yeah. Like, there's a reason why they were first-round picks. But I think you would have to go School in the event that Wirfs doesn't play at any moment this season. I'm not saying the beginning of the season.
And there's a reason why he was an undrafted free agent out of Georgia State. So, it's a huge disparity in talent there. And that's why when you see Bijan Robinson streaking down the field on the 50-yard touchdown as a top 10 pick, and Servassier Dennis, the 5th-round linebacker, couldn't catch him. Like, that's life in the NFL right there.
Yeah, for sure. And like with Wirfs, I'm not comparing it at all to his injury last year, because that was a knee surgery. That was him on crutches and moving around. Like, there's not any of that this offseason. Yes, the hamstring, it's a little bit of a tweak. But, this is a major investment with Tristan Wirfs. He's an all-pro. He's a future Hall of Famer, in my opinion. Like, just make sure he's good to go for the regular season. I think that's the approach that the Bucs are taking. Let's go to Grislow. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, do you guys see a Buka injury coming to turf toe? All right, let me break down the Emeka Buka situation. So this was 11 on 11s. Now, like, for the 2-minute drill, it was everyone just on one field. Yeah. For the other 11 on 11s earlier on, it was Bucs defense was all the way on the right side of the field with the Jets offense. Then the Bucs offense had the middle of the field. So it was actually an end around to Emeka Egbuka. He went in motion. Baker handed it off to him. Wasn't that big of a gain. Got held up, wrapped up, if you will, by the Jets players. Nothing nefarious or anything. And it looked like at the time that maybe his ankle rolled up or something, because then he took like 2 steps and just went and sat on the ground. And then there's like a little bit of circle of like some players and some trainers. Yeah. He wasn't on the ground insanely long, but of course, anytime a player is down for more than a second and a half, you start going crazy, being like, oh my God, what's happening? He was able to pop back up. But then he started like limping heavily, went to the sideline in between the all the way to the right field and the middle field. There's like a little area where there was a training table. He sat on the training table. Conveniently, there was a lot of shade in that area, and there was a breeze today, but hey, it's the summer. It's hot out there. A lot of work was getting done, but like I was watching Egbuka a lot. He was sitting upright. It wasn't like one of those situations where he had a towel over his head or his hands over his face, being like, "Oh my goodness, my season is over." Right. Was on the table for a while. Some like Bucky started chatting with them. Other players started chatting with them. By the last session, which was the 2-minute drill, eventually Egbuka got off the table, and then he just joined everyone on the sidelines. He didn't get back into the game, understandably so. There'd be no point in risking that. But then he was walking around with everybody along the sidelines. Yeah. So a good sign. It was a great sign that he didn't have to go inside, because that was different with Jake Browning yesterday, different injury. But Jake Browning went inside, like back into the locker room. Egbuka was out there the entire time. So again, like, Todd Bowles didn't have an update after practice because he was on the other field when it happened, so he didn't see it go down either. Now there's reports coming out. So NFL Network was there today. Mike Garafolo, Maurice Jones-Drew. I actually saw them when they were interviewing Garrett Wilson, but I guess they talked to Bucky Irving as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know when Bucky Irving became the team doctor, but then he just said that like it was a toe injury and he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Again, he was walking around earlier on after getting off the medical trainer. He's going to have a couple of days to really heal up because he wasn't going to play in the preseason game on Friday. So he's got Thursday, Friday. The Bucs aren't practicing Saturday either, and they're not practicing Sunday. So then they're flying back.
They're not going to play him on Saturday either, is my guess. I mean, unless he just makes a miraculous recovery. Yeah, you know what he can do. He led your team in receptions last year.
Sure.
You don't play him. You don't play Jalen McMillan. If Jalen McMillan, Todd says, Jalen, we're going to play you a series on Saturday against the Chiefs, he's going to be like, no, you're not, Todd.
Right.
You're not going to play me. I'm not playing in any more August games in my career. I'm done. I will play in September. But that's what I would say. Matt, I want to hear what you have to say about your PrizePicks for today.
Yeah, PrizePicks. Big shout out to PrizePicks. Love using it. It's America's #1 app for daily fantasy sports. It's the best place to win cash while you're watching sports as well because you can create your lineups with all different sports. You can go cross sports as well. Like you can set your lineup and you can have football, you can have basketball when the seasons got here, NHL. So the app is super easy to use. I'll explain it in just a moment. Make sure you download the PrizePicks app with the link in our YouTube description. When you sign up, use the code HMA. That's letters HMA. Play your first $5 lineup. If you win with that $5 lineup, you'll get $150 in bonus lineups to use. So play $5, get $150 over at PrizePicks. When you're setting up your lineup, you're just picking more or less on a couple of different player stats. It can be hits, runs, RBIs for baseball and strikeouts. And in hockey, it can be goals, saves by the goalie, assists. I know Nikita Kucherov is big with that. Obviously, when football season comes here, you'll have passing yards, rushing yards, tackles, receptions, and on and on and on. They got a lot of cool different stats and lineups that you can create. They have it for golf as well and UFC, so a couple of other ancillary sports too. So it's super fun to create your lineups. You can do it on a daily basis or a weekly basis or a future basis as well, like I did with my lineup yesterday, doing some futures lineups. Let me pull that up right now. So yesterday, and I'll just reiterate it again because the football season hasn't arrived just yet. My lineup that I made yesterday is Baker Mayfield more than 3,499.5 passing yards. Reuben Bain Jr. more than 5.75 sacks. And Garrett Wilson to have more than 2.5 100-yard games this season. So you can take that at any time until the season begins. What I did tonight, though, because I'm in New York, I'm going baseball. I'm going with some of the New York teams. AJ Ewing, young up-and-coming player for the Mets, getting a lot more playing time because they traded everyone else at the deadline. I have more than a half of a hit, run, and RBI. So if he gets a hit, if he scores a run, that's a hit for him. And then I took the other New York team, and since I hate the Yankees, I'm going less than 5 strikeouts for Will Warren, who's pitching tonight for the Yankees. Mariners have a pretty good lineup as well. So those are my picks tonight for PrizePicks, but definitely recommend as well if you want to get in on this 3-pick power play I have for the long haul of the NFL season.
I like
feel free to get it.
I might tail that one, Matt. That's a good pick.
Yeah, absolutely. So big thanks to PrizePicks for all their support of the Pewter Report podcast.
Speaking of New York, we have a game Friday. We're going to have some podcasts on Friday. I say podcast meaning plural, not 1, not 2, 3 podcasts for you, Pewter people. Starting with the pregame, the Pewter pregame show kicks off at 9 o'clock every single day. There's a Bucs game starting in the preseason this year. We're doing it in August. So we're going to have a Pewter pregame show for you with the latest injury updates and the latest scoop from our sources. It's going to be 9 o'clock on Friday. So make sure you check that out. That is available to everybody. Then if you are a Pewter Premier or Platinum member, you'll have access to our Pewter Insider show at 1:30 on Friday, which returns. The Pewter Insider is back after a couple weeks off. And what a day to have it back on a game day. Can't beat that. And the Pewter the Pewter Insider show should be set to go every Friday pretty much through the whole season. We probably, even the Thursday night game, we'll have one on Friday. So, make sure you become a Pewter Premier or Platinum member to access that show right here on Pewter Report TV. You need to become one of those 2 members to do it. So if you're thinking about becoming a Pewter Report TV channel member, for $9.99, you can be a Pewter Premier member and have access to that show. If you love the Pewter Report podcast, this is our bonus podcast. It's not filler. It's not a B-side. We've got some of our best shows have been Pewter Insider shows as well. Then after the game, you know what time the game is, 7 o'clock, kickoff. Bucs and Jets. Immediately following the game, we're going to have our post-game podcast, our first post-game podcast of the year. Looking forward to that right here on Pewter Report TV.
Yeah, going to be exciting. We're watching Bucs football. We're watching it live. And, so it'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. We'll get to Super Chats in just a moment. I do have to say, because I don't think we've talked about it yet, just real quick, there was an interception recorded by the Bucs today. Rashad Wisdom had an interception off of Cade Klubnik, the backup quarterback for the Jets out of Clemson. It was just an overthrow. It was a pretty easy catch, but hey, he got the interception. So good for him. Good for Rashad Wisdom making the most of a moment. No Marcus Banks today. He did not participate. So when one guy's out, someone else has to step up, and Rashad Wisdom did make that play. He's been on the team for a little while. So just wanted to make sure we got that in. And
there we go.
Forgetting about the interception. Moving on to these Super Chats. Thanks to Paul Morales for the $1.99. Says, one word to describe camp so far would be, Scott, you want to go first or second?
I'll go first. I'm going to say energetic.
Okay.
I think energetic is kind of the term, kind of all-encompassing, like edginess, some feistiness, but just it's been energy, and that's what this team needed. We've said numerous times it just was a stale team at the end of last year, and it's anything but now. It is a breath of fresh air watching the Buccaneers in practice. It's spirited. There are plays on both sides of the ball. They're really going at it. I'm surprised by how quickly the defense has assimilated together and put forth a really good product out there. They hit on these newcomers. There might be a guy that kind of underwhelms, whether it's Al-Quadin Muhammad. I don't think it's going to be Ruben Bain. I don't think it's going to be Josiah Trotter. But they brought in a lot of new pieces. One of those guys might underwhelm, kind of like Hassan Reddick did last year. But they brought in so many new pieces, Matt, that they're going to have a lot more hits than misses. And this defense will be better than it was last year. How better? We're going to find out in short order.
I think that's a great phrase to use for this. I'm going to go with aggressive.
Yeah.
I think between the secondary, what we talked about with jumping on routes a little bit more, the relentlessness of the pass rush, that's been really important. So aggressive, especially on the defensive side. You could also say, hey, Luke Edeke chucking a helmet 20 yards down the field. There's a lot of aggression in those types of moments and with those fights. And hey, Baker Mayfield, what he said at his press conference about his contract and why he's unhappy, saying he felt undervalued and felt disrespected. That's a pretty aggressive approach to go about your contract snafu. So on the field and off the field, it's been aggressive with the Bucs, but using it to their advantage, especially with these joint training camp practices.
That's right.
Grizz Low, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, listening to you guys during famous Jameis season, some of the best Mark Cook podcasts during 2019. RIP Mark. Yeah, there's two moments that really stand out. One of them actually, I think, might have been the 2018 season. Bucs Bears, of course. You know, the Matt Nagy, and I have asthma, and the laughing, crying fit that the two of you, Scott and Mark, had was absolutely incredible. It's an all-time moment. Mark is gasping for air. He can't even talk.
He's wheezing
laughing so much, and he continued the bit even as he's trying to speak. And big shout out to Trevor Sikkema on that one. He's like, I'm just going to let you guys keep going. And then, of course, the spirited debate with Mark Cook and Trevor Sikkema about Jameis Winston. This was almost a college swap, if you will, because as we know, Mark Cook, a fierce, loyal, hardcore Seminoles fan of Florida State. Trevor Sikkema went to the University of Florida, so he is a Gator. But in this instance, Mark Cook was saying, I'm done with Jameis. I'm tired of the interceptions. It's ridiculous. And it was Trevor trying to talk him off the ledge, being like, no, Jameis can be the answer of this team. And I think it was either Christmas Eve or right before Christmas Eve. And it was a very, there wasn't any true animosity towards each other, but it was a very heated debate.
Yes, I remember that.
The two. That was a very memorable moment for sure.
Yeah, I remember. I can't remember which game it was. I remember Cook just going off the rails. I mean, his face was beet red. I mean, I wish it was a video podcast back in the day, because that was entertaining. But he was losing his mind. I thought he was going to have a stroke. He was on. I mean, and he was a fierce Jameis supporter. Like, he was really a guy that was at Florida State. He was super excited when they drafted him and all of that. But yeah, he reached the tipping point with those interceptions, man. He got off the Jameis bandwagon quicker than Bruce Arians did.
That he did. Let's move on to Jacob Winkles. Thanks for the $5 super chat. Says, what are your predictions for yards for Gainwell and Bucky this year? Also, who has more yards, Godwin, Ibuka, or McMillan? Oh, man.
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I'm supposed to be a Bucs expert. I'm going to wave the white flag here, just because I think that there's not like an alpha wide receiver, and I don't think there's an alpha running back. And what that means is, I think there could be a game where Gainwell has 100 yards total all-purpose or 100 yards rushing. The next week it might be Bucky. I think any of those receivers, Godwin, Ibuka, or McMillan, can pop off for 100 yards in any game.
Yeah.
And it could be one guy one week, one guy the next. They all might have, at the end of the season, they each might have 300-yard games. And they might all have 700-yard seasons. There may not be a 1,000-yard rusher. There may not be a 1,000-yard receiver this year. I just don't know. It doesn't mean that one guy can't get hot.
Yeah.
And if there's injuries like we saw last year, Ibuka was on pace to get 1,000 yards. He just ran out of gas at the end of the season. But the reason why he was on pace to get 100 yards is because of injuries to Mike and Chris. If not, he wouldn't have sniffed 1,000 yards. But he was forced into that role, forced targets, forced catches, all that stuff, because he was like the last man standing at times.
He was.
So I think that sometimes yardage can be a production of just who's available, who's healthy, who's getting the extra carries or catches, because somebody isn't.
For sure. And I'm completely with you with the wide receivers. Like, you might as well play roulette with these players. You throw the white ball in. One time it'll land on Godwin. The next time it'll land on McMillan. If we're turning injuries off and everything, so it's a little bit more of a hypothetical.
Right.
Rushing yards wise, this is more about my belief in the offensive line than even it is Bucky Irving or Kenneth Gainwell. But even just watching the O-line today, I think with the volume of what Bucky is going to get, Bucky can reach 1,000 yards once again. The way Kenneth Gainwell has been used thus far, gadget is not the right word, but he's going to be more of a couple of rushes here, a couple of targets in the passing game there, where I think Bucky can reach 1,000 yards. Gainwell, I believe it's going to be a little bit more of maybe 600 rushing, but 400 receiving, and he gets all-purpose yards to 1,000. If I had to pick for the receivers, I actually can see Godwin leading the team in receptions because he's making those catches over the middle, but they're not, 30, 40 yards down the field. I think Ibuka, if I'm picking one, he would be the guy for the most receiving yards because he's going to have the yards after the catch. He's going to get volume because of screens, short to intermediate plays, but he can also do the big plays down the field as well, where McMillan has kind of just been more of the deep shot type of guy, which obviously you get a lot of yards with that, but maybe not as much volume. So with all that said, I'm going to take Ibuka for more yards, but it really is just kind of a toss-up, which is a good spot for the Bucs.
It is.
The talent's there for this team.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's right.
Q's 44. Good to hear from you. Thanks for the $2 super chat. Says, how is Tuck doing? Will he play against the Jets? He will definitely play against the Jets.
Yeah.
He's doing fine. I kind of wish they would get him involved a little bit more. It's been a lot of Bucky and Gainwell, and understandably so. But Sean Tucker knows how to do more with less, with less opportunities. He had a nice touchdown run today to the left side. So I hope he can do some big stuff with more opportunities in the preseason, because I can't foresee Bucky playing, and I don't think they want to do that with Kenny Gainwell either. So it's going to be a lot of Sean Tucker, and and Josh Williams, because there's not a lot of running backs on this team for the Bucs. So, yeah, you'll see a lot of Sean Tucker on Friday.
I agree. That's why we have him as our cover guy for our Pewter pregame show and our postgame show. We're going to see a lot of Sean Tucker, and I'm excited about that for sure. I'm also excited to let you all know that when it comes to the place to go to watch the game, because this is our last podcast of the week before the Pewter pregame show, you got to do it at Walk-Ons. If you're not going to watch the game at home, by all means, get into Walk-Ons. They have a happy hour on Friday from 3 to 6, so you can get there and have dinner. Get in right before that happy hour closes at 6. Take advantage of their happy hour meal, and then an hour later, boom, there's kickoff right there. You can watch the WFLA pregame show right there at Walk-Ons. TVs galore, fantastic menu, and I'm going to tell you about their happy hour menu right now, because tomorrow, just like today, 2 happy hours, 3 to 6 and 9 to close. And then on Friday, again, 3 to 6, you can also take advantage of some $5 Jack and Cokes as well. $3.99 domestic pints, $5 premium house pours or happy hour wines, $5.49 get you the 22-ounce domestic drafts, $4 for the Hush Puppies onion rings, $7 for the Boom Boom Shrimp, half order of the waffle cheese fries, spinach artichoke dip is one of my favorites. Boneless wings and cheeseburger sliders can be had for $8. Eat like a winner, drink like a champ. 3 Tampa Bay area locations to serve you. Wesley Chapel up here in my neck of the woods, Midtown Tampa down there by the stadium, and Lakeland.
We are right around the corner from Bucs football.
Can you believe it? I cannot wait. Here's the
suspension. Anytime one of the main podcasters were off the show, it was a so-and-so was suspended for XYZ reason.
That's right. Even when you were missing, or Grizz, our interns behind the scenes working the production, whenever somebody was missing, had a day off, whatever, they were suspended from the podcast.
So. It was funny early on too, like when we gained new fans. We go, what? Like,
yes,
Trevor is suspended? Like, what did he do? And then, like, obviously it caught on. So
I know. Another super chat here.
Yeah, O2RR, thanks for the $4.99, says, now that made me wonder if our offense could potentially be like the 2004 Colts, where we end up with 3 1,000-yard receivers instead of 1 1,500. It's certainly possible with the talent. There's no doubt about it. But here's the thing. We've done the comparison a billion times with Liam Cohen and now Zach Robinson.
Yeah.
But what was the locomotive of the team then on offense? It was running the football and play action. So you need a good ground game to set up everything else. Like even Baker, just little play action rollout today. He was doing it so well. It's tough to have 3 1,000-yard receivers while also establishing a top 5 run game in the league. It's possible, but like, I honestly think it would be more likely that the Bucs would have 2 1,000-yard rushers and 1 1,000-yard receiver.
That's right.
Than 3 1,000-yard receivers.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a good problem to have.
Well, and the other thing too is you're going to see K. Dotton get the ball, right? You're going to see the running backs, because they can all catch the ball. All of them catch the ball. That's the thing. So whether it's Bucky getting his touches, remember he had 3 touchdowns last year. He actually more touchdowns through the air than he did running the ball. Mm-hmm. And we know kind of Gainwell can catch the ball for sure. And Sean Tucker had a touchdown catch last year, and certainly some in his Bucs career. So the problem is and that's why I have a hard time seeing 3 1,000-yard receivers, just because,
only one ball.
Only one ball, and there's so many weapons. And this is not like Jameis back in the day was Mike and Chris. That was it. It's a different story now with all of these different weapons, and it helps Baker Mayfield. It helps the team win, and that's a good thing. So, and you know what? This is a selfless team. There's no divas on this team. There's nobody that's going to be crying for the ball or crying for catches or carries, and I think that's great.
Yeah, it really is. It helps when you have a second-year player, third-year player, and a rookie where it's like, shut up. Like, you haven't earned the amount of NFL
exactly.
time yet to complain.
You haven't done
about
shit. Just wait for your turn. Exactly. Yeah.
SRQ Salt, thanks for the $1.99 super chat, says, who are you focusing on Friday for the preseason game? For me, it's Walker and Garnes. That was a conversation I was having today where, you always focus on the rookies in preseason and how are they going to look in their debut.
Right.
This is also the debut of David Walker in a game.
I know.
And what he's been doing in training camp, crushing it.
Yeah.
David Walker, I think, should be, like, if you had a draft of, like, player most excited to watch. I know we did our roundtable and we took different players. David Walker's got to be number one on the list outside of maybe Ruben Bain Jr. But I asked Todd Bowles today, how much is Ruben Bain going to play? How much does he foresee Ruben Bain playing? And he said, not much, if at all. So don't get too excited about Ruben Bain Jr. He's really not going to be out there. But David Walker absolutely has to be out there. So, seeing David Walker and what he can accomplish there, I think will be big. SRQ Salt, I think you're spot on as well with Aiden Garnes, how he's going to look at the cornerback position. And then not the number one storyline by any means, but with Jake Browning's injury yesterday, Todd Bowles didn't rule him out for the game. He said, like, the plan was for Jake Browning to start.
That's right.
Now he didn't practice today. He can get treatment tomorrow as well. I would still be surprised if he ends up playing in that game. So, I mean, who's going to win this QB3 battle between Connor Bazelak and Jalen Daniels? We spoke to Jalen Daniels today. He, said it's a dream come true. He's going to get to play in his first preseason game. But, it's something to watch because you got to establish who's going to be QB3. And then I would want to know, can that QB3 make his way up to QB2, either if there's an injury with Jake Browning, or let's remember, Jake Browning got replaced by Joe Flacco last season.
That's right.
So,
and as high as this team was on Kyle Trask at once upon a time, they also brought in Teddy Bridgewater because it didn't fully see Trask being that guy, and ultimately Connor Bazelak beat him out. So you're exactly right, Matt. It's not just, okay, are you a good QB3? It's, can you be QB2 in case QB2 gets injured? Like that's a different step in a different direction there. The chances of rain are always prevalent in the summer, but we have a little bit of a dry spell here, which is nice after all this torrential downpour in the area. And that means maybe this weekend, maybe you can get some golf in. And if you're going to, make it Heritage Isles Golf and Country Club in northern Hillsborough County, ranked as the top 3 best value course in the Tampa-St. Petersburg area by Golf Advisor. That's quite a distinction. You can enjoy the picturesque greens and the natural scenery that surrounds this golf course. It is a country club where you can become a member. It's also open to the public, where you can just get your buddies and grab a cart with a foursome and have some fun. For tee times, give them a call at 813-907-7447. That's 813-907-7447, or visit them online at heritageilesgolf.com. Wanted to get to this post here real quick from Michael LaRue. Mark Cook's rant got to the front office of the Bucs, and Cook gets credit for door number 2 opening for Tom Brady. Miss your passion and quirkiness, Cookie. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to give Mark that much credit for Tom Brady coming to Tampa, but he did have quite the relationship with Bruce Arians, though. That's for sure. And a lot of respect there. I'll never forget when Mark did pass away. August 12th, 2021. You had Bruce Arians in that preseason game, in his press conference, addressed Mark Cook, and he came out, and his opening remarks were prayers and thoughts to Mark Cook's friends and family, and really, I think that was a very touching moment by Coach to recognize Mark from the podium after that preseason press conference. So
it was, and the Bucs
moved by.
Bucs in a very nice gesture as well. They left Mark's seat in the media room. They left it open there. They put some of his some of the stuff that he had at his desk in the media room. They put it in the press box there, and they did a very nice video memorial for him as well during that preseason game. And then Mike Evans gave Mark a shout out as well because he obviously didn't play in the preseason game.
Yeah.
But the following press conference that he did, he started it by
that's right,
talking about Mark. So
Class
very
act.
classy gestures all across the board with BA, Mike, and of course the Bucs too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, the next time you're going to see us better be 9:00 on Friday. That's when we're having our Pewter pregame show, kick off the season with the preseason. Let's just do it. Let's just go right into the Pewter pregame during the preseason. We'll have some fun Friday morning at 9:00, day of the Bucs Jets game, and then of course the Pewter Insider podcast at 1:30 for a Pewter Premier and Pewter Platinum members, and then right after the game, we think Sean Tucker is obviously going to do well. He's gracing both the pregame and the postgame. I'd love to see Sean go off, especially in New York, right?
Yeah,
why not, Sean? Have yourself a night.
Yeah, and maybe he'll have something to say in the press conference after.
Yeah,
but yeah, so looking forward to it. I'll be at MetLife Stadium watching the game. I think I'm going to be on WFLA as well, so keep an eye out.
Excellent.
And,
and make sure if you want to meet Matt Matera.
Yes. I've spoken to a couple people already. We've exchanged numbers. So once I find out where my parking is going to be at MetLife, we're going to try to figure out a spot from there. So very excited to meet some of our Pewter Report fans that may not always be in Tampa live and in person. Happy to chat for a while and talk about this team, talk about whatever, really. But super pumped. I've already been in contact with some people. And, really excited to meet everyone on Friday.
Yep.
All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Another one in the books. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll see you soon for another edition of the Pewter Report Podcast. Oh.
Miss you, Mark.
R.I.P., Mark.